I beat gaming addiction twice, but both times it almost destroyed everything I was working to build as a single dad. The first time was right before separation. I was addicted to Elden Ring and I had no idea how much it was holding me back. With everything changing in my life, I realized gaming wasn't helping me become the father I needed to be. And the second time, after I finally turned my life around, I rewarded myself with a PS5. But within hours, I was hooked again. Late nights, less sleep, and I started losing my focus on my goals. Today, I'm sharing the 2 times I faced addiction and what I finally learned to break free. Stick around because the lessons I've learned can help you too. As I mentioned before, I quit gaming addiction twice, and both times it nearly cost me everything I was trying to build as a single dad. The first time, gaming was my escape. I was playing Elden Ring right before my separation, living in an empty apartment away from my family, and facing a huge life change. Gaming became my comfort. But I remember sitting there hours into the game and realizing I was losing myself in it. Over 100 hours in, and I had nothing to show for it. My life just wasn't moving forward, and my daughters needed me. That was a turning point. I knew I had to quit, not just for me, but for them. So I packed up all my games and I donated everything. I needed to focus on rebuilding my life and being present for my kids. Fast forward 2 years, and I was in a much better place. I had better pay, a healthier lifestyle, an amazing relationship with my kids, so I decided to reward myself with a PS5. But within hours, I got sucked back right into the same old habits. Late nights, less sleep, my work was slipping, and I felt like my progress was disappearing for the sake of a game. I had to quit again. This time, I didn't just put the PS5 away, I sold everything. The consoles, the monitors, even donated the TVs, which were very expensive TVs. I realized I needed to make my environment addiction proof because I finally understood my time, my energy, my focus on my family and my goals were worth more than any game. Gaming wasn't just a hobby for me, it was part of my life since I was a toddler. From the moment I picked up the controller, it was my escape to feel something. It wasn't about passing time, it wasn't about feeling alive. When life felt out of control, gaming gave me a sense of control. It was my escape from the chaos, my moment of peace. I look forward to new releases like Christmas, the excitement of exploring new worlds, solving puzzles, leveling up. It brought me joy and it felt good. But when my separation hit, when I finally became a full-time single dad, I had no time for anything else. I had my kids all the time. I couldn't go out. I couldn't travel. Couldn't even stick to a regular workout routine. The only thing I could really commit to was gaming. I get my kids to bed and then I sit there feeling this swirl of emotions, stress, loneliness, confusion. And instead of dealing with it, I pick up the controller. Gaming was easy. It was familiar, it was fun, and most importantly, it was an escape. Gaming doesn't judge you. It doesn't demand anything from you. It rewards you instantly, and that instant gratification feels like a breath of fresh air in a chaotic life. Everything in my life felt messy. Parenting, bills, figuring out what came next after the breakup. Gaming was my one thing that felt clean. But the more I used it to escape, the more it sucked me in. Whenever I felt overwhelmed or bored, gaming was just always there. It was like a safety net, something to fall back on when I didn't know what else to do. The second time I got addicted to gaming, it didn't hit me all at once. It started very slow. A few hours here and there, maybe a late night, just one more round of Call of Duty, right? But it wasn't long before I was right back where I started. My sleep, I was going from 7 hours of solid sleep to barely 4 hours. Some nights even less. I didn't realize how much losing sleep would affect everything else. When you're a single dad and you don't sleep, it's not just a bad night, it's a chain reaction. I wake up feeling like I was in a fog, barely able to function. It wasn't just the tiredness, it was this constant mental fog that just hung over my head. I started missing deadlines, meetings, things that I used to stay on top of, and suddenly they were slipping through my fingers. I felt disconnected from my work and my kids. I was easily angered, snapping at them for no reason. When you're running on empty, you don't have the patience to enjoy the good moments with your kids. I find myself napping every now and then instead of playing with my kids, and each time I woke up, I realized the time I could have spent with them was lost to something that didn't matter. I was physically present, but I wasn't truly there. The more I slipped back into gaming, the more my dream, my reality slipped away. On that mission I had to build something for my family, to create a better future, it felt like it was all fading away. I was watching myself slip backwards, and I hated it. My focus, my motivation, all started to crumble. There wasn't a big blow up, no dramatic turning point where I lost everything. It was more like the realization that I wasn't living the life I wanted anymore. The stress from trying to balance everything with no sleep caught up to me, and I couldn't ignore it anymore. This wasn't the dad I wanted to be. This wasn't the life I've been working towards. I had come so far in rebuilding my life, but it felt like it was all slipping away for the sake of games. And that realization hit harder than any gaming loss could ever. So I did something drastic. I didn't just put the PS5 in the closet or hide it. I needed to remove the temptation completely. If I wanted to be the dad I needed to be, if I wanted to build the life I deserve, I couldn't do it half-assed. So, what changed? The first thing I did was simple, but game-changing. I got everything out of my sight. I didn't just put the consoles away in some type of drawer or closet. I packed them up, took them out to my family's house. I gave away all my big TVs. I didn't want any temptation in my space. It was like I was removing the option, the thing that kept pulling me back into that world. When I removed everything, I made a clean break. It was like hitting the reset button on my environment. Once I couldn't just pick up a controller and escape, I had to face reality. And I found out how much better my life got when I did. But just removing the temptation wasn't enough. I had to replace the habit. So I used Google Calendar to time block my day. I took journaling seriously. I started to brainstorm my thoughts, why I felt stressed, what I was missing, and what I needed to do. This helped me get clear on my goals. It also gave me a space to pour out all those emotions instead of using games to numb them. So all that dopamine hit gaming was giving me, I replaced it. Instead of reaching for a controller, I go jump into a cold shower. I started exercising regularly, push myself harder at home. Consecration became my new escape. I began sharing my journey and thoughts through videos and writing. Slowly but surely, the craving for that instant gratification from gaming started to fade away. And here's the most important part. I started to spend more time with my kids. The bond I was building with them became a better reward than any game could ever give me. We'll go play, we'll go to the park, or we'll just hang out and chill. My daughter will look up to me and realize I didn't need gaming anymore to feel good. The real joy just came from being present. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this story, it's this. You can't just quit gaming and leave a hole in your life. You have to replace it with something else. When I first tried quitting, I didn't have a plan. I thought I could just walk away from the PS5, delete all the games, and everything would magically change. But that didn't work. I get bored, I feel that empty space, and guess what? That need for that dopamine hit would hit back hard. Here's the deal. Gaming isn't just a hobby, it's a dopamine source. And when you cut it off without replacing it, you're leaving yourself a void that's going to haunt you. So instead of just quitting, make some type of plan to replace that activity. For me, it was about swapping one dopamine source for another, but a healthier one. I started reading, even if it was just 10 minutes a day, that's a win. I swapped gaming for exercise, something that gets me out of my head and into my body. Cold showers were another one. At first, I hated them, but then they gave me an immediate energy hit and focus. Meditation helped too. It felt like a reset button for my brain after a long day. I had to train myself to sit with the discomfort and quiet the noise. And listen, there is no perfect path. Some days you feel the urge to pick up the controller and go back to old habits, and that's okay. The key is to recognize it, feel it, but not act on it. Build a toolkit for those moments. Have a set of activities that give you the same satisfaction without falling to those same old patterns. And don't be afraid to ask for help. I wasn't afraid to tell my friends and families about my struggle. I leaned on people who supported my growth. You don't have to do this alone. When it comes to being a dad, you're just not fighting for yourself, you're fighting for your kids, for your future, and for your legacy. You deserve to have the full energy to show up for your family. Build a plan, replace those habits with something that serves you and your kids, get rid of anything that's holding you back, and fill that space with things that move you forward. Thank you for watching. Check out my other videos on how to be better, and I'll see you there.